This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. It is Thursday, November 14th. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, after closed-door hearings, Democrats are making their case in public to impeach President Donald Trump as Republicans push back against the Democratic witnesses. Shortly after a ceasefire is declared in Israel, Islamic Jihad launches more rocket attacks. We're going to bring you an update from Israel. Many young Americans today say they embrace socialism, but we'll hear from one man who will tell us from personal experience just how bad life under socialism can be. And Dolly Parton at last night's Country Music Awards teaming up with Christian singers to perform gospel songs. All those stories and more are ahead in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. We begin this half hour in Washington, where Democrats are making their case for impeaching the president. Since it began nearly 2 months ago, the inquiry has taken place mostly behind closed doors. Those doors opened Wednesday in the first public hearing in the inquiry, as 2 men testified about the infamous Ukraine phone call and a question of quid pro quo. Abigail Robertson brings us the story now from Capitol Hill.
This week, Democrats are looking into whether President Trump is guilty of bribery or high crimes and misdemeanors. That's a shift in focus after investigating a quid pro quo over Ukrainian investigations, a White House meeting, and U.S. aid. The impeachment inquiry, now a spectacle. Under oath, top diplomats in Ukraine revealing their previously disclosed testimony for the first time.
What we will witness today is a televised theatrical performance.
With Intelligence Committee member Devin Nunes thanking the witnesses in his opening.
I'd like to congratulate you for passing the Democrat Star Chamber auditions held for the last weeks in the basement of the Capitol.
And from the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, a new revelation.
At the time I gave my deposition on October 22nd, I was not aware of this information.
Bill Taylor told how a staffer at a restaurant with Gordon Sondland, the ambassador to the EU, heard Sondland speaking to the president over the phone.
The member of my staff could hear President Trump on the phone asking Ambassador Sondland about the investigations. Ambassador Sondland told President Trump the Ukrainians were ready to move forward.
At issue, U.S. security assistance to Ukraine and a phone call between President Trump and President Zelensky.
I had come to understand well before then that investigations was a term Ambassadors Volker and Sondland used to mean matters related to the 2016 elections and to investigations of Burisma and the Bidens.
Describing a visit to the front line, Taylor gave a first-hand account of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine after President Trump's phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky.
Russian-led forces continue to kill Ukrainians in the war, 1 or 2 a week.
An hour into the hearing, the president retweeting a video from the official White House Twitter account, declaring new hoax, same swamp.
It's a witch hunt, it's a hoax.
And later, dismissing the ongoing hearings from the Oval Office.
I'm too busy to watch it, so I'm sure I'll get a report.
Have you been
briefed? I have not been briefed.
On the Biden corruption front, diplomat George Kent said he was concerned over Vice President Biden's son Hunter's role at a Ukrainian gas company.
There was the possibility of a perception of a conflict of interest.
Republican Jim Jordan said Taylor's own testimony made no linkage between U.S. aid to Ukraine and any investigation.
There was discussion of the security assistance, but
no linkage.
But there was not discussion of linkage.
This, as Republicans made clear the career service officer's testimony was not firsthand.
And they could be wrong, or they could be mistaken, or they could have heard it incorrectly. Right, Ambassador Taylor?
People make mistakes.
Republicans are demanding their own set of witnesses in the public hearings, including access to Hunter Biden. They also want answers on Democrats' prior coordination with the whistleblower responsible for disclosing the infamous Ukraine phone call. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Turning now to Israel, less than an hour after the media announced an Egyptian-brokered ceasefire between Israel and Islamic Jihad after the recent days of attacks, sirens sounded as Islamic Jihad launched more rockets at southern Israel. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl brings us the story now from Jerusalem.
Israel struck Islamic Jihad targets in Gaza overnight, but by morning, Islamic Jihad, which is backed by Iran, announced that the ceasefire had started.
We confirmed that a ceasefire deal was reached under the supervision of Egypt.
Islamic Jihad said the deal included an Israeli agreement to stop targeted killings, protect rioters during the March of Return border protests, and lift the so-called siege on Gaza. Israel confirmed the military operation was over and announced that students in most areas would return to school. But within an hour of the announcement, the rockets were flying again.
I'm waiting for good solution, I hope, for everybody, for the Arab, for the Jews, for the world.
Here in Ashkelon, just 6 miles from the Gaza border, residents were out despite continued rocket fire further south. One home here took a direct hit, and a woman suffered from moderate injuries from flying glass. But without the Iron Dome and shelters in most homes, the casualties and damage would be much worse. In just 2 days, Islamic Jihad launched some 450 rockets at Israel that went as far north as Tel Aviv. Israel said the Iron Dome missile defense system was 90% successful in intercepting rockets heading for populated areas. The violence over the last few days started after Israel assassinated senior Islamic Jihad leader in Gaza, Baha Abu al-Atta, in a targeted strike. Israel said he was responsible for rocket fire on Israel and described him as a ticking bomb. Palestinians said more than 30 were killed, including several children and a family. Israel said most of those killed were militants.
But these terrorists are not only out to kill Israelis, in fact, they're killing their own people in Gaza.
We made it very clear that we are not looking for escalation and that quiet will be answered with quiet.
For now, it seems that the violence will subside, but how long the ceasefire will last remains to be seen. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Ashkelon, Israel.
The brutal cold wave is finally expected to ease up in many places today as it moves east after breaking records across much of the country from Alabama to Ohio to Vermont, with temperatures falling as low as 11 degrees in St. Louis. The storm front also brought 30 inches of snow near Traverse City, Michigan, and it hit farmers hard in Wisconsin. And down south in parts of Texas, temperatures fell so fast, 50 degrees in 24 hours, they froze the water coming from sprinklers. Now the cold weather is headed east where it could break still even more records. Coming up, socialism is reportedly popular among younger Americans, but we're going to hear from someone who knows what it feels like firsthand to actually live in a socialist country. And he says America's young people can learn some important lessons from the failures of socialism in that nation. We're talking about Venezuela. Stay with us.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN NewsWatch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Yes, right on time.
From Superbook.
Pepper's Pizza Palace is donating pizza for everyone today. Wait. I have big plans today.
Trust in God even when times are tough. He has a plan for your life.
Hey, we're gonna be late for the grand opening. My parents want me to help with this outreach thing, feeding the community. What am I supposed to do here? Superbook!
Join the Superbook Club and get Superbook The Birth of Moses, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25.
Pharaoh ordered all newborn Hebrew boys thrown into the Nile River, and I have a 3-month-old brother.
The Birth of Moses. Yours for a gift of only $25.
What will you do the next time the soldiers come? I do not know, but I trust God has a plan for all of us.
Superbook Club members, free streaming for seasons 1, 2, and 3 is now available.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
A recent poll found 70% of American millennials and 64% of Generation Z say they will likely vote for a socialist candidate in the next election. Now, that finding comes as no surprise to Venezuelan Daniel DiMartino. He is a U.S. spokesperson for the Venti Venezuela political movement. On this week's episode of The Global Lane, DiMartino says American young people can learn a few lessons from Venezuela's socialist nightmare.
So what do American young people need to know about socialism as it's being practiced today in Venezuela? What don't they get?
They need to get that all these free things have a huge cost, and their cost is our freedom. In Venezuela, the cost was through shortages and high inflation. In the United States, with the programs that many in the democratic socialists are proposing, might be, less freedom of speech. It might be lower wages, more unemployment, and even higher inflation, depending on how they pay for these programs.
And you were a part of a political movement that isn't even allowed in Venezuela. Is that correct?
That's right. We're not an authorized political party by the government. We're the only free market political party in the country, so it's really not surprising that they don't want us to exist.
So tell us what else. What else do we need to know about communism and socialism and the way it oppresses people?
Yeah, one important thing here is that, and I think the reason for these poll results, these astonishingly terrible poll results, is that education needs to change in this country. It is not acceptable that 1 in 10 millennials or 1 in 10 also Gen Zers, people who are even younger than millennials, think that Donald Trump has committed more human rights violations than Hitler or Stalin. That is not acceptable. That means schools are not teaching about the Holocaust and are not teaching about the starvation in the Soviet Union, right? So schools need to teach that better. Families need to teach better their children about freedom, about patriotism, about God. Communism is the religion of state-imposed atheism. You cannot be a communist and follow God's teachings.
Well, I know you're just finishing up college right now. So what has your experience been at your university that you're attending?
Yeah, my experience, it's been that there's very few people who are actual socialists, who know what it is, who want to abolish private property, and who want to destroy, basically everything that the United States is based upon, the freedom that the U.S. is based upon. I think that most of the people who are supporting this word, that is simply a word, socialism, they think it's just free things. So what I've been able to do is just discuss policy by policy. What do they support? Why do you think this policy would be good or bad? And if you go into the details, a lot less people really are socialists. They're just against the current status quo. So they need to be provided an alternative so that they don't become socialist.
Well, do they realize, those that you talk to, that there's no such thing as free stuff? That basically somebody has to pay. I'm thinking of some of the candidates that were saying, hey, free college tuition, this, that, or the other thing free. Taxpayers have to foot that bill, don't they? And that means young people when they get into the workforce.
The huge problem there is that they think the rich can pay for it. And so they need to be told a very basic fact. There is not enough money among the top 1% to pay for free healthcare, free college, and free housing, on free everything like the Democrats are proposing. There's simply not enough money to tax away from the rich to pay for those programs. And even if you were to tax them 100%, then if you do, then you just destroy the U.S. economy. So we have to find alternative ways to reduce costs. We have to propose both free market alternatives to reduce costs if we want to challenge the socialists in America.
Daniel, what has your experience been? Do any of them that you talk to know about what's happening in Venezuela and why?
Most of them do not, unfortunately. And in fact, in the Victims of Communism poll, they also talked about that. Only half of Americans know what's going on in Venezuela. That's very low. And I think that if we spread the news of the reasons I had to flee my country, which were that the government took over the means of production, just like Karl Marx supports, just like socialists support. They gave free healthcare, free housing, free food, all of the things that the Democrats want to give here, or the most radical Democrats. I think that if more young Americans knew about what was going on in Venezuela and the policies that were implemented, they would be less likely to be socialist.
Well, education is the way to reverse the trend. Daniel, we appreciate you taking the time. Daniel DiMartino of Vente, Venezuela. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And you can hear more from DiMartino and get Gary Lane's commentary about the European Union's actions against Israel on the global lane. That's this evening at 9:30 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel. Still ahead, Germans and much of the world rejoiced when the Berlin Wall fell 30 years ago and East and West Germany were reunited. But today, surprisingly, many Germans are actually getting out of their own country. We're going to find out why when we come back.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians
in Iran are routinely arrested.
Happily, Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
It was one of the most important and joyful events of the 20th century. Last Saturday, the world celebrated the 30th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, separating communist East Germany from free West Germany. But sadly, many Germans today are not celebrating modern Germany. In fact, some have even fled their country. Dale Hurd explains why.
When it happened 30 years ago, it was amazing. The Berlin Wall was suddenly coming down. The Cold War would end, and Germans would again be one nation. But what has Germany become? Not what some had hoped. And proof of that can be found in Hungary, about 2 hours west of Budapest, at a place called Lake Balaton. So why are we doing a story about the 30th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall from a lake in Hungary? Because this is where a lot of Germans have fled to who are fed up with Angela Merkel's New Germany. The Lake Balaton region is full of Germans who have moved here for all sorts of reasons. But a local real estate agent told us the biggest reason is migrant crime in Germany.
At the moment, our clients is 80% Germans. And the main reason is the immigration problem in Germany.
Agent Laszlo Kozma says the number of Germans moving to Lake Balaton spiked immediately after Chancellor Angela Merkel allowed over 1 million mostly Muslim asylum seekers into Germany, while Hungary turned them away.
Yes. This is the reason they would like to escape to Hungary and live here permanently.
Germans like Gerhard Böhm, who told us he would never move back. He feels safe in Hungary. Cosma says there currently aren't enough properties in Lake Balaton for all the German buyers. The German establishment continues to push the narrative that Germany has never been safer, even though it was learned that the number of Germans murdered by migrants doubled last year from 2017. We're told the crime rate in Germany is at a new low, which is interesting because concern about crime among German citizens is rising. German police recently discovered that 2 of the Syrian refugees it welcomed into the country used to run a prison in Damascus that tortured thousands of people. This is all part of the reason that less than half of East Germans say reunification has been a success, and polls show some would even like to rebuild the Berlin Wall.
It's getting worse than East Germany because we didn't have this. We didn't have this murder. We didn't have the rapists.
But speaking out too forcefully about migrant violence will get you in trouble in Germany. German evangelist and author Heidi Mundt, herself a former East German, thought that International Women's Day would be a good time to speak about the danger of migrant crime to German women. Only the police prevented her from being attacked by West German leftists, who spat on her and called her obscene names. That's why some Germans call today's Germany East Germany 2.0, because just like in East Germany, certain ideas are enforced, either by society or the government, and those who deviate from political correctness could lose their jobs or even face criminal action by the state. Germany's crackdown on so-called online hate speech has even been copied by dictatorships. Famous German pastor Theo Lehmann was persecuted in the old East Germany, and sees similarities to today's Germany.
It's extremely annoying that nowadays again you have to measure every word, because later someone could come and criticize it. That hurts any free discussion, and it's an incredible fear that is everywhere in society. Nobody dares to speak up anymore, because you're always in danger when you say something that is against the mainstream. You could be called a racist or a fascist without any discussion. These labels are put on you right away.
Of course, all of Germany is not crime-ridden, but this website lists more than 75,000 migrant crimes since 2015. A German citizens group has been demonstrating in cities across Germany with what it calls lines of horror. Every piece of paper is a violent crime committed by a migrant. The leader, Robert Vogelmann, says he welcomes true refugees to Germany, but not criminals.
Yes, refugees welcome from war and people who need help, but no criminals. And our government don't control these people.
The Berlin Wall was a wall of oppression. But 30 years after it came down, increasing numbers of Germans are fleeing to a country with a wall that has made it much safer than Germany, Hungary. Robert Vogelmann told us he has a message for Americans and for President Trump.
Build a wall. Build a wall. Yes, build a big wall.
Dale Hurd, CBN News, reporting from Germany and Hungary.
Coming up, the Country Music Association honors its female stars last night as the legendary artist Dolly Parton sang some gospel tunes. We're going to bring those to you right after this.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Protect your sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Check out the CBN News Daily Rundown podcast each weekday with me, Caitlin Burke. Click on the show tab at cbnnews.com where you can listen and subscribe.
The Country Music Association honored and highlighted the women of country music at the CMA Awards last night. The show began with a dozen female artists performing a medley of major hits and Dolly Parton singing some gospel songs, teaming up with For King and Country. Parton also performed with Zach Williams and sang the song Faith as well. Nice night. Time now for your Thursday Thankful, and I trust you will join me in this prayer of gratitude. Father, thank you for being the greatest example of faithfulness. You are always with me and for me. You are always good. With that word, make today a thankful Thursday. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN Newswatch. Remember, you can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel at any time or online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here. Feel free to email us. That address is newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Make it a thankful Thursday and a wonderful rest of the week. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, everybody.